Impressionism is a major movement, first in painting and later in music, that developed chiefly in France during late 19th and early 20th centuries. Impressionist painting comprises the work produced between 1867 and 1886 by a group of artists who shared a set of related approaches and techniques. The most conspicuous characteristic of Impressionism was an attempt to accurately and objectively record visual reality in terms of transient effects of light and color. The principal Impressionist painters were Claude Monet, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, Camille Pissarro, Alfred Sisley, Berthe Morisot, and Frederic Bazille, who worked together, influenced each other, and exhibited together independently. Edgar Degas and Paul Cézanne also painted in an Impressionist style for a time in early 1870s. The established painter Edouard Manet, whose work in 1860s greatly influenced Monet and others of the group, himself adopted the Impressionistic approach about 1873. Professor Richard Schiff received his PhD from Yale University and holds the F.E. Murray Kane Regents Chair in Art and directs the Center for the Study of Modernism. His scholarly interests range broadly across the field of modern art from early 19th century to the present, with emphasis on French painting and post-war American and European art. He has been particularly involved with theory and criticism. His publications include Cézanne and the End of Impressionism, University of Chicago Press, 1984, Critical Terms for Art History, University of Chicago Press, 1996-2003, Barnett Newman, A Catalogue Raisonné, Yale University Press, 2004. The numerous studies of critical and methodological issues, recent essays have focused on Georges Seurat, Pablo Picasso, Robert Mangold, Donald Judd, Chuck Close, Bridget Riley, George Baselitz, and Terry Winters, among others. He is now at work on 3 book projects: an interpretive account of William de Kooning, a study of tension between practicing art and practicing criticism, and a collection of his earlier essays. Defining Impressionism is next to impossible because the genre is an evolution of artistic processes. Art historians have rendered the title Impressionism that rarely gives any exclusive definition that can be readily appreciated. There is no historical fixity or a continuum that can be assigned to be impressionistic. To consider who the real Impressionists are, Richard Schiff have looked into a simple classification: social group, artist subject matter, style or technique, and purpose. Yet, each of these categories has presented their own difficulties. An artist must, in order to be impressionistic, associate with a group of artists who render similar thoughts. An artist might be labeled an impressionist if the artist participates voluntarily in one of the social groups to get conferred. Artistic styles then may develop and become group styles, and if a person is too deviant, may become an individual impressionist. Such professionals, associations, and personal sympathy made Degas an impressionist and Cézanne another impressionist, even though modern critics find their style antithetical to Impressionism. Yet, Impressionism also existed outside the circle of the groups, the circle of the elite, such as the Society of Salon. By such association, the Salon Society declared Corot as a superior poetic kind of impressionist. It is in the subject matter of art that art can be classified in genres. When they are classified in such a manner, Schiff comments they lead to awkward inclusions and exclusions. By this standard, Stanislas Lepine was included with later Impressionists, but today he is rarely discussed as a genuine Impressionist because he lacks the major stylistic character of the Impressionists, the conventional bright colors. Theodore Duret, who tended to use stylistic criteria in order to classify the various painters, excluded Lepine for just this reason when he wrote his early account of the Impressionist movement. Art must never encourage identity of self in depiction but self-identity in the style of depiction. Like definitions determined by subject matter, those dependent on observation on style also present difficulties. Critics and historians have repeatedly called attention to the bright color and sketch-like finish of the Impressionists, but again not too many works of the late 19th century display same image qualities. Notable critics like Charles Bigot and Henri Houssay tried to define Impressionistic color more precisely, linking it to the elimination of effects of chiaroscuro, but this eventually led to the exclusion Degas from the camp. It was quite common for the critics to have excluded Degas from the camp because of this technical use of his inventory. When viewed in isolation, style does not identify Impressionists with ease. Artistic Impressionism is self-observation and self-interpretation of the ultimate aesthetic goal. Definition of the goal of Impressionist art may indeed inform more purposeful distinctions in other areas of investigation. Yet one must take in account the early observers of Impressionists like Jules Castagneret and Theodore Duret said that these artists hardly spoke about goals and aims of their works. Castagneret in 1874 observed, "The objective of art does not change, the means of translation alone is modified." While Duret, who was in close association with the groups, talked about sketch like surfaces and unusual juxtaposition of bright colors, Castagneret warned of such techniques becoming idiosyncratic and idealized. Yet every artist professed the individual sensation of nature, and in this regard it could refer to objective naturalism. The question about understanding of Impressionism and symbolism still remains unanswered. It is in the revolutionizing the medium of expression that art achieves evolution and development of newer techniques. Approaches to Impressionistic aesthetics looks into the means for ends. The finest attributes of Impressionism is in the mixed techniques of expression. Critics distinguished Impressionistic for the manner in which it attempted to render nature, or more specifically to render the impression. This manner or style was directed at something, at the expression of a fundamental truth, the vérité, so often mentioned in theoretical and critical documents of the period. When Impressionism was considered as depiction of naturalism, which was not new, these artists seemed to set the art apart by their technical devices. For the Impressionist, as the name applies, the concept of impression provided the theoretical means for the approaching the relation of individual and universal truth. Any form of art evolves out of a mental imprint that gets shape and form around the content of its aesthetic message. The term impression can bear very physical signification as when it is synonymous with imprint. Just like photo-transparencies of photographs are often referred to as impression, as are the images of one's own vision. In both cases, the term impression evokes a mechanistic account of the production of images by means of light. The impression is always a surface phenomenon, immediate, primary, underdeveloped. Hence, the term was used for the first layer of an oil painting, the first appearance of an image that might subsequently become a composite of many such impressions. It is in the ability to catch the primary idea of flux that inspires the artist's creativity that impressionistic art becomes successful. As primary and spontaneous, the impression could be associated with particularly individuality and originality. The artist's ability to infer from the facts that generate aesthetic thoughts gives art its ingenuity. Impressionism is in the synthesis of nature an original sensation. The Romantic critic Theophile Thor similarly allowed the term to bridge the gap between the external and internal, the physical and the intellectual. The self of the artist in any form of art cannot be denied because it forms the essence of all artistic interpretation. The impression then can be both a phenomenon of nature and of the artist's own being. It was not until the 19th century that psychology, the study of sensation, emotion, and thought, came to be recognized not only as a branch of metaphysics but as natural science, as an area of empirical research into the physiology of perception and then in turn to impression. The standard definition of impressionism was in accord to David Hume's use of the term that impression is in the effect produced on the bodily organs by action of external object. One's view of the world is induced from one's own experience of impression and is necessarily relative. As a result, the rendering of an impression could be an accurate expression of both the artist and his natural environment. The impression, in other words, is the embryo of both bodies of one's knowledge, the subjective knowledge of self and the objective knowledge of the world. Years after critics have begun to associate impressionism with symbolism, Fernand Causet published an article entitled Psychologie de l'impressionnisme, where he made the basic distinction between Manet's visual realism and emotional realism of Monet and Renoir. Causet argued that two arts are intimately related and differ only in the nerve recordings of visual observation. He said that artists do not render a landscape in their painting but the sensation of the landscape. Impressionism, according to Schiff, is thus a style of depicting creatively and instinctively, not professionally, creating the first impression that comes to mind when a particular strain of thought gets depicted. It may be just depicting the shallow waters or the primary layer of thought that a particular event or an aesthetic consciousness generates in an artist. Whatever truth or reality is represented, it must bridge the artist and nature together to produce an impression. The only in such vision of nature that nature will become true art. The artist paints the self while painting the attributes of nature. The essay is conclusively remnant of the theory that art is a projection of the artist's self, and this must be true to the nature of creation. Impressionism is thus the artist's impression of nature and not nature's impression on the artist.